Now, as a sucker for a deal, I have a little bit of a fetish for buying either open-boxed or refurbished electronics, because in theory, it's a way to save a good amount of money while still having some protections in place, like the option to return the thing if the condition's too bad. Well, for today's video, I bought a Best Buy Geek Squad open box super fancy OLED monitor, which did not go well at all. But before we get into that, today's video is sponsored by Corsair's new Custom Labs RAM configurator, which lets you take their already great Vengeance DDR5 and slap some personality on those bad boys with 8 different skin options. I went for Respawn Black and Cherry Blossom Grey, which both look amazing, especially once you drop it in a system and let that RGB shine. So check out some snazzy new configurations for Corsair's Vengeance DDR5 using the links down below. Now, Best Buy's refurbish and open box ecosystem is quite complex, so before we actually have a look at the 2 monitors I ended up buying to see what happened there, let me just quickly walk you through the various options they have available. Now, because Best Buy is a marketplace, not only do they have either Best Buy open boxes and refurbs, they also have marketplace seller options. Now, I did do a previous video where I bought a massive OLED TV from a marketplace refurb seller, so if you want a bunch more detail on that space, have a look at that video. I'll have it linked down below. But as far as I can tell, most of the refurbishing is done by third-party sellers. Best Buy seems to only really dabble in open boxes, and they label their open boxes using the Geek Squad certification. Now, what I find interesting about the Geek Squad open boxes, at least on the Canadian site, is that they don't seem to have a grading system for them, and the description of the Geek Squad certification just glazes the condition of these open boxes. So we're expecting an immaculate product that was verified by King Xerxes' right-hand man himself. Whereas from what I can tell on the US Best Buy site, they grade the open boxes. Which makes sense. If the open box isn't in great condition, you don't have to pay as much for it. So the information that we have going into this is that the Geek Squad open boxes are the most premium option that should be in immaculate condition. So with that context, I decided to buy this 32-inch LG OLED, a spectacular monitor apparently, although you do need to ignore those reviews. Ugh. Now, there is currently a sale on new ones of these monitors, so we're not actually saving that much money going with the open box, but if the condition is as good as Geek Squad says, then any money off is a deal. And without the sale, the monitor is a butthole-shattering 1,700 Canadian dollars, which is a lot more than the open box price. When it comes to the shipping, I do need to give Best Buy some credit here, because the monitor did ship very quickly, and it arrived in like 2 days, despite the fact that I bought it on a Saturday, which is pretty impressive. Ooh, the box has clearly been through several digestive tracts. Hopefully the actual monitor is okay. Okay, we've still got the base of our stand at least. Ooh, that is a serious stand, my word. That is monitor stand for days. And aside from a little bit of like fingerprint smudging or whatever, it seems like it's in really good condition. This is the little back flap. It's not even been opened. Very nice. Wow. That is a serious base plate for a monitor. I like that stand a lot, actually. Okay, so we get DisplayPort, HDMI, power brick, USB, and power cable. So we get all of the cables that we need. Whoa, that is quite the power brick. 210 watts. This is a beefy monitor. Oh, and it's not in a good bag. Some wild animal savaged this bit of packaging. Now on the back, we're looking good. There's a little bit of smudging going on here, but it makes sense. Somebody did handle this monitor at some point. But other than that, things are not in focus, but it's looking fine. It's also dual mode. That seems fascinating. Can't wait to try that. look at that. It's like, that is a serious, oh, it's just all along the display. I don't know if that makes it clearer. If anything, I think it makes it less clear. This is like a deep scratch all along the front of it. That is an unacceptable condition for an open box to be in. I mean, I bought a fair condition refurb, and it was in much better condition than this. So I think what happened is that some complete savage accidentally scratched the living crap out of the front of this panel and then just returned it to Best Buy, who promptly just sold it back as an open box without looking at it. That is not minimal damage, that's like a lot. I then cleaned the display hoping that that would help. It didn't, and decided to turn it on and see if there was any damage to the actual pixels. With bright footage like this, it's not visible, like I can't see it here. Okay, it was used for 32 hours. So I wonder if they damaged the display, saw if they could live with it, and then were like, no, I'm gonna return it. At which point I decided to fire up a game and see how noticeable it was while using the monitor for its intended purpose. Okay, now the first thing that stands out to me is not this scratch on the bottom, even though it is very noticeable when you're looking down at your HUD, especially in like darker areas, like here in the forest, it's very visible. When it lightens up, it kind of disappears, but you can definitely notice it, and when there's light off to the side like there is here, it is visible, but honestly, it's not display ruining, because this panel is magnificent. 4K looks just beautiful at 32-inch. It is noticeably sharper than 1440p at 27-inch. I mean, it feels weird to say, but I feel like 4K is a little bit of an underrated resolution. It gets a hard time because it's extremely demanding to run, but it does look beautiful. This panel is magnificent. Okay, now anyway, that's not the point of this video. This scratch is definitely not display ruining. This is a monitor that I would live with. However, this scratch is unacceptable because of what we paid for this monitor. If it was sold as like a fair refurb and we paid much less money for it, then yeah, I'd be happy to live with the scratch, even if it is noticeable and in a spot on the screen where you do kind of look quite often. And then before doing a proper display analysis to see if something weird doesn't show up there, I decided to try out one of the headline features of the monitor, which is its dual mode-ness. The fact that you can switch it to 1080p 480Hz. And while switching between 4K 240 and 1080p 480 a bunch of times, I had a couple of takeaways. First off, you can really tell the drop in sharpness going from 4K to 1080p, which obviously makes sense, although there is a nice feature where you can kind of restrict the field of view on the monitor down to increase your effective pixels per inch at 1080p, which I think is a cool touch. But in terms of motion rendering and smoothness, the difference was less obvious. Okay, it's weird, because every time that I go from 480 to 240, I feel like I can't tell a difference. But then when I go from 240 to 480, I feel like I can instantly see it. Either way, esports look phenomenally smooth on this monitor. I then whipped out my Spider X to do some display testing, and it measured beautifully. I think the only issue is the scratches on the display. And then finally, I decided to see how prevalent this issue of Geek Squad damage is in the best way I could think of. I bought another one. And they closed up the box using some tape that they clearly found discarded in some bins behind the Best Buy. The box is also looking pretty dusty. I'm guessing it's been sitting in a warehouse for a while. I think I opened the wrong side. This box is in much better condition than the last one. The base plate seems to be in slightly worse condition than the other ones was. There's just slight signs of use over it, which is not a great start. Yeah, this one's stand is definitely not as clean. Yeah, I don't know, this one looks like it's been used much longer than the other one has, but we get all the same accessories. And the next step was to see if the front of this display also had a scratch on it, which initially was not very promising. Is this one also scratched? No way. Like, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's a scratch. I think this one is also damaged. Yeah, let me clean it and make sure, but there's a bunch of scuffs on the display as well that could just be dirt, but it looks similar to what I saw on the TV I got, the like fair condition refurb. Let's give it a clean and see. And after a thorough wipe down, the scuff was gone. Yeah, that was just dirt. This one actually isn't scratched. I was about to say, my word, if it was 2 for 2, that would be insane. And after setting up the display, the panel also seemed fine. Okay, it looks like it's fine. And according to the not in focus on-screen display, the monitor has 120 hours of use on it. So the panel is slightly less baby fresh than the first one with the big scratches on it. I then spent a while gaming on the monitor, you know, really putting in the hard work to make sure that the display is fine. After which I did some measurements and there were no obvious anomalies, although the color accuracy of the second display was slightly worse, which means whoever scratched the first display damaged an immaculate sample of the monitor. What an animal. But yeah, I mean, considering how dirty that second display is and how damaged the first one is, despite what they say on their website, it does not seem like they vet these open boxes before selling them, so they really are luck of the draw. So with that, let me know down below what you thought of my experience with these Geek Squad open boxes. Subscribe to the channel on the way down there if you enjoyed the video, and until the next video, thanks for watching. Bye bye.